Note, this episode contains spoilers for the new movie Wild Robot. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Hear Me Out Pitch, or if this is your first time, welcome to Hear Me Out Pitch. I'm Tim.
And I'm Willem.
And oh man, that was a good movie.
That was such a good movie. I couldn't wait till like Tuesday for cheap days. It was expansive, and I will say right now, this as of October 1st, spoopy season, by the way, spoopy season is among us. Get your decorations out, get ready, as well as just embrace the spoopiness. I would like to say that if you have the opportunity, see Wild Robot and see Transformers 1. I don't think I've said this yet, but I absolutely love that movie. They did a terrible job in marketing at how deep and insane that movie was. I went with my friend and his son, and that movie was a huge breath of fresh air into the Transformers media. So, and as well as just, I wish we could set up a link and set up aid, but if you have any way to send aid to people in the Midwest and the South being affected by the hurricanes, be safe. Do not get in the water if you see any electrical poles. I'm so sick of hearing sad stuff. Oh, sorry everyone. Moving on and transitioning to a lighter note, and we'll drop that for now. We're here to talk about the Wild Robot. Well, actually, no. I lied. Because we're going to do something special.
Yes, we will be talking about the Wild Robot. We are going to be giving our review of the Wild Robot
with spoilers.
With spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it before you finish the episode. We'll give you a warning before we actually start with the spoilers.
Yeah.
But just as a general rule of thumb, probably go watch it. It is a beautiful movie. It might be my new favorite movie.
Really?
It's that good. I loved it that much.
I think it's by far, I don't know if it's my favorite movie, but it was so cute. I think it's one of DreamWorks' best. I still think their best is Prince of Egypt. That's just me. Fun fact for everyone about DreamWorks really quick. DreamWorks has won Best Animated Feature Film before in the Oscars. Can you take a guess at which movie it was, Tim?
Inside Out 2.
That's Pixar.
No, that is Pixar. It's this movie.
I mean, that might be a chance. So, for anyone who's shocked, in 2006, DreamWorks won Best Animated Film for Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit.
Really?
That is DreamWorks' only Best Animated Feature for Oscars. Which is absolutely insane to me. Which makes me think, what in the world did Pixar come out with that year?
That is a good movie.
Mm-hmm. But with that being said, we are going to talk about our favorite robots, which are a lot for me. And I think we've mentioned many of them. You all know, if you have listened to many of our episodes, you know it. Tim teases me because he's said that it's like my favorite movie ever, but it's not.
You talk about it more than any other movie.
It just happens to be there. I talk about, for anyone that doesn't know, in my opinion, my favorite movie is Hercules. But to Tim, we'll talk about that.
I know Hercules is your favorite movie, but you talk about it far less than another certain movie.
Well, yeah. Because the reason is because it has a personal, spiritual. Hercules has this personal and almost spiritual part of me that just resonates. But you really have never seen me watch Hercules, so
no, I haven't.
No, we'll have to do a movie night. And to be fair, I have a Funko Pop of Hercules and this character. Hercules is up there. This other character he's staring at me. He's right behind me. Mm-hmm. He's judging me. But all right, Tim, favorite robots. How many are we doing? How many do you want to talk about?
I'm thinking top 5.
Top 5?
Top 5.
Ooh, top 5.
It's kind of hard to go more than that.
The thing is, I will say that I love robots, and I think why I love robots so much. The thing is, I will say that I don't think I full on would like to think I have the healthy mindset that I know that I would never help or feel sympathy for AI if it really starts becoming real. We've talked about this with the Creator movie. We've talked about this with other robot movies. But why is it that we love these animated and fun ones? Because we would like to project the best of humanity into them. That's my opinion. And yeah. All right, Tim. I'll let you start us off.
All right. I'm gonna go with number 5. I have like 7 or 8 that I really like.
Well, okay. How about this? What is what are like a few honorable mentions, real quick?
A couple honorable mentions. A couple honorable mentions for me personally.
Okay.
Iron Giant is an honorable mention. It's not one of my top 5 because I never really connected with the movie to the level that you did. And
I don't know what you're saying.
I also never, I've only seen it once or twice, and it was over a decade ago.
You're taking it home today.
I already have one of your movies at home. Another one of my honorable mentions would be C-3PO, Star Wars.
Oh my.
He is like on the edge of being my top 5, but he's not quite there.
I'm terrified. I hope his little buddy is in your top 5.
He is. Don't worry. Okay. Spoiler alert. R2-D2 is in my top 5. And I think one of my maybe my last. I'm just trying to. I'm going through to see what if I missed any.
Ooh, Tim,
online.
I have
it doesn't look like it.
Selfish request.
Yeah.
For both of us. Make this be a list from before you saw The Wild Robot. And then we'll talk about if
fair.
The Wild Robot makes an impact. Spoilers, it probably will.
Yes, it does. In that case, C-3PO is my number 5. My other honorable mention would be Vision from the MCU.
Oh.
I love Vision. His character is just awesome. He is what I would want AI to be in real life. If AI, him and Jarvis, Vision is basically Jarvis.
In the MCU, yes.
In the MCU, he's basically Jarvis.
That was a beautiful version of Vision. Very clever, very love. Age of Ultron is one of my favorite Avengers movies. One of my favorite all of MCU movies.
It might be out of all of the Avengers movies. I think Age of Ultron might be my favorite. The four Avengers movies.
I think I would go Endgame. No, sorry. Infinity War, Age of Ultron, Avengers, and Endgame. I love all 4 of those movies.
Oh, I love all 4 of them.
I will not tell you. They are those 4 movies are some of the best Marvel movies. Anyway, so C-3PO.
C-3PO is number 5.
Why?
He's a classic. For one, C-3PO is a classic. For those of you who don't know, and if you don't know, shame on you for not listening to our other episodes. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars.
What?
I know, it's crazy. I grew up watching Star Wars. That was one of the things that my dad taught me. One of the most important things my dad taught me is how to love Star Wars. And it's shaped me into who I am today. I love all of them. They're great, and I love the characters, and the droids in Star Wars are classic. C-3PO is the epitome of I'm stupid, but I don't understand, so I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing to try to make myself useful. Like, in all reality, he's not really all that useful, aside from really in episodes 6 and 9, because of the Ewoks, and then because of the translation with the dark side dagger thingy, the dark side text. I will say I didn't like him enough to paint myself gold and go running around on October 31st as, you know, a gold person, you know, who wanted to correct everybody, but
Goldar.
but C-3PO is a classic, and I love him. He's great. Yeah.
For me, for a few of my honorable mentions would be, of course, the Lego Bionicles. They are literally what built up my childhood. They, to me, are what, when I hear Legos, they are what I think of first. But due to their not what? Oh, sees the toy. Yep. The first toy I ever bought with my own money was a Bionicle, and it's currently sitting right behind me. I would also like to include Sonny from iRobot.
Sonny would be another one of my honorable mentions.
I think he was absolutely wonderful, and he's also voiced by I can't think of the actor. I just spaced on it. I'll get it now, but he voices King Candy, all the new... Oh, man, I always forget his name, and now I'm really embarrassed. But my number 5, I'm going to kind of cheat. I'm going to put them together because they're just buddies, is Rodney Copperbottom and Fender from the Robots movies. I absolutely love those two. Mm. I love the Robots movie. I'm looking at it right now in my shelf of movies. I love Rodney because, you know, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi right there. It's just, you can't argue with that. And, of course, Robin Williams. And the thing is, there's parts in that movie where there's a lot of heart with them working together. Fender is hilarious. Rodney has such conviction about helping, you know, see a need, fill a need. I think was so inspirational to me as a little kid because I just loved how Rodney wanted to help build people back up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Rodney, my number 5.
Okay. I like that. Robots wasn't really on my radar. I grew up watching it, but it wasn't really in my, you know, my top 10 movies.
And they're so like human, and I love the humor, and it's such a good, it's an underrated, if we're going straight with robots, like robot movies, mm-hmm. The name is a given.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. My number 4 has to be Astro Boy.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have to put him into my honorables because I love the cartoons, love the old video games, and you watched that movie, didn't you? You were young enough that was...
I was. The movie was one of the staples in my home for a while. It was like a whole year that it was one of the few movies that we watched.
I really wished it would have gotten more love.
Yeah, it is a beautiful story. Astro Boy himself, the character is just awesome. He's great. It's a tragic story.
Oh,
but also it's a very happy story at the end. And it has a very good, you know, moral that it's trying to teach you to find out who you are and to be you.
Did you ever watch the weird cartoon on cartoons like Fox Kids? I'm guessing no. You probably had never. Did you know one existed?
I did.
Okay, that one was insane because different story altogether. Mm. And the father from the movie is the main villain. Mm. He is his creator, and he has and it's just, I would have loved to see kind of and not to bring up Transformers again, but it would have been cool to see how the father became this villain. And I know they kind of, I thought they were going to go that direction in that movie, and then they didn't. Maybe we'll have to write a sequel for that movie someday.
I'd be down.
Okay.
It's a good movie.
All right.
It's a good movie.
Oh, good choice. Astro Boy. I love Astro. He's so sweet. That movie, you did a good job.
Yeah. He's just such a kind kid.
And he's an old character.
Yes.
Like, I think he was one of the first animated, like, animes ever. My number 4... I'm going to have to throw it to one of the best motivational speakers out there, and it will be Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime to me is one of the epitomes of being a leader, and he is fantastic. and I realized that actually crap. I think I might have to. It's hard because sadly, a number. I might have to move the Transformer, or like I might have to move Rodney. I think I might have to move Rodney down. I'm sorry, because Optimus would be number 5, because one of my favorite robots out there, and I didn't want to put him on this list because it's such a negative to yours, but I love Ultron.
I do like Ultron.
And I think
I
will put him as
Optimus Prime and Bumblebee are definitely honorable mentions.
There's just too many robots that are so awesome, but Ultron to me is the AI that just goes, ooh, and he was so. But okay, you know what? I will just say that he's more AI, so I will technically put him out there to the side. Vision is a robot. Mm-hmm. Ultron is AI, and he does.
Well, no, Ultron is the same. They're both. They're both the same. They're just.
He is a network as well.
It's true.
Kind of like the Terminators. I love evil robots. I love robots. I love the ones that make it, because Ultron. Okay, sorry, and I will say that I love the movie Ultron. The comics one was classic, and it made me scared, but it gave me Terminator vibes. But having Ultron be essentially human and joking, like Captain America starts talking, and Ultron goes, ugh, I can't throw up in my mouth, but I could if I would. Or he beats Tony to saying, if you need to make an omelet, you have to break some eggs. And Tony's like, I was just about to say it. Like, I love those scenes. And people were mad that they made Ultron human, but I thought it was so poetically ironic and funny. So I think, no, I'm going to stick with my number 4 being Optimus Prime.
Okay. Yeah, Optimus is one of my honorables.
And I will say, if we ever match up on any, I'm just going to interject and be like, all right, I put that same here and we'll discuss the character, because I think our number 3 might be the same.
It might be.
Maybe.
Might be. We'll see.
Who is it?
My number 3 is a duo.
Oh.
It's Wally and Eve.
Oh. No, it's not the same for me.
My number 3 is Wally and Eve. They are such cute characters. I love Wally. I love Eve. I love their dynamic, their relationship, and I love everything that both of them stand for. Just such a good movie. And if I had to pick one, it would be Wally, because
it's Wally.
But you can't really have one without the other.
No.
In a favorites list.
No.
You know what I mean?
I will not give my thoughts on Wally because he's coming up real soon.
Yep, I had a feeling he was up there.
My number 3 is Baymax.
See, Baymax is higher on my list.
So you just be quiet and I'll say my piece and we'll just do a nice transition here. But Baymax for me, I was really sad that I missed it. I was in Ghana when this movie came out. My mother was very excited for me to see it. And I came home and I was like, meh, when I first saw it. And then, you have to kind of readjust to life after you do a service mission like that. But when I finally watched it again, I went, oh my gosh, I love this robot. I think it's so cute to have a robot you can hug, have him being so simple. I cannot run fast. And we loved him so much that we made a sequel about him. And so that's my take on Baymax. So why is he, I'm assuming...
Nope.
No? Oh!
No, I'll talk about Baymax in a minute.
Oh my goodness.
He's not my number 2.
So who's your number 2?
My number 2 is R2-D2.
Oh,
Duh.
I was honestly thinking he was going to be your number 1. Why isn't R2-D2 your number 1?
R2-D2. Okay. I'll explain why Baymax is my number 1 in a minute.
Okay.
But R2-D2 is my number 2. Again, didn't do that on purpose.
That's clever.
But yeah. I grew up loving Star Wars. One of the first Lego minifigures I ever had was an R2-D2. A ton of my stuff that I have in my apartment and that I had growing up was R2D2. I have an R2D2 treasure chest that I'm using right now to store my Legos. I just, everything was R2D2 because he's an adorable, he's a cute, lovable, angry trash can.
Absolutely.
And
Him fighting with Yoda is one of the best scenes.
One of my favorite scenes was in Return of the Jedi when Jabba's barge, when they're going out to execute everybody at the pit of Carkoon. One of my favorite scenes with R2D2 might be my favorite scene with R2 is when he goes up to the window and Luke looks out and says, Jabba, this is your last chance, blah blah blah, and then he jumps on the diving board, launches himself up in the air, and R2D2 launches a lightsaber out and he catches it. And it was just so cool to me that a robot could slingshot a lightsaber, like that. And it was just so cool to me. Blew my mind. And it's still one of my favorite scenes to this day. That series of scenes, that little arc in that movie, the whole Jabba's palace and all that, is just great because it shows a different side to Star Wars that you don't usually see, kind of the more underworld, criminal side. Yeah, and it's just fun. It's a good scene. And R2D2, again, he's just cute. He's also so angry and chaotic. And I think his kill count might be the highest out of any droid in all of Star Wars.
Stupid service droid burns them alive and walks off. And I just love how loyal he is to the Skywalker men.
Yeah, he is in every single Star Wars movie.
Except Rogue One. No, wait.
Well, the main saga.
Okay, fine.
Episodes 1 through 9.
I like to be funny. Oh, was he in? Oh, yeah, he was in The Force Awakens. Yes. Not The Force Awakens.
Yeah, he was asleep.
Yeah, he is asleep. It's so sad. Yeah, I think it's really, the more I think about R2, the more I realize that he was with Anakin. Anakin disappeared.
Well, first he was with Padme.
Yeah.
With Queen Amidala, and then continued to be Queen Amidala's droid for a while, and served her, and then the Jedi, and then moved on.
He was just like a good luck charm to them, but he probably loved them all so much. Mm-hmm. So, well, add him to my honorable mentions then, because I sadly, maybe even not, and I will admit, like, he's not. When I think of robots, I don't think of R2, but when I think of Star Wars, he is a robot that comes up real fast. So I think of him before I think of C-3PO.
Same. And I think that's why 3PO is my number 5 instead of being
Master Luke
there. And I mean, again, just like Wally and Eve, it's kind of hard to separate the two because they are a pair.
Yeah.
But in the end, I do favor R2 over C-3PO.
Thinking about it, I think I might have always loved C-3PO more because he was so, I don't know. I have to really do some soul searching. But for my number 2, it is Wally, and I, just like you, I have to include Eve. You can't really talk because Wally and Eve,
their story becomes one.
Yeah, but I will say that for the most part, like, you can't talk about Wally without talking about Eve. But I think it's very rare that Eve would be someone's favorite robot because she doesn't become your favorite until you have Wally. But Wally himself, he just a little lonely robot. It was Pixar's first original idea. They were sitting down at a diner and they were talking and they said, we want, like, what's one of our first things? They wanted to do a robot, but they waited. And then they started talking about other things. But Wally was one of their very first ideas and he had to sit on the shelf and wait. And I absolutely love him. I think that's one of my comfort movies that I watch as much as a few others. But Wally I might actually have watched Wally more than my number 1, more of the times this year. Because Wall-E to me it's cute, it's sweet. My number one, it gets pretty deep, pretty heavy.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
So Tim, who's your number one? I have no idea.
It's Baymax. Surprise.
Oh my gosh.
When it came out, when Big Hero 6 came out, it was my favorite movie instantly. It was just such a good movie. It's the same as like Wreck-It Ralph. Like I connected to it so well. Nerd. And I just love, both of the movies. They were my favorite movies when in that, around that time. But Big Hero 6 Baymax, like you said, big huggable robot that is just so sweet, and I love. It's one of my favorite stories. It's one of my favorite movies. Like you said, we made a sequel about it because it was just so good. I love how caring Baymax is, even to the bad guy. Like he doesn't want to kill Callahan. He just, it's against his programming. His programming is to be a good nurse bot. And I think a lot of that stems from, a lot of me enjoying that movie so much stems from my dad being an emergency room nurse. And it was just kind of a connection. Like I could see on the big screen kind of how my dad helps people and why my dad, and I've said this before, and I can't say too much because I'm going to end up crying, but my dad is my hero. Big Hero 6. My dad is my number one hero. And seeing Big Hero 6 on the big screen and being able to connect my dad to Baymax in their goals in life, to help people, to protect people, to make them feel better. And it, I think ultimately that's probably why Baymax is my number one.
Do you ever hear your dad's voice when you think of Baymax?
Sometimes.
Oh my gosh, that's
Sometimes.
so cute. Oh my gosh.
Like I said, I can't talk about it too much because I'm gonna cry.
You've been a good boy. Have a lollipop. Mm-hmm. Hairy baby. He's such a good character. And then with that, my number one, if y'all haven't guessed, it is the Iron Giant, the epitome to me of a robot who just learns how to be human. Was sent to scout, was sent to be a threat. He meets a young boy, and he realizes he wants to be more. Questions what a soul is, and to a 3-4-year-old on the the pinnacle, like right at the point of the 2000s coming. I do remember the 1990s people very briefly, but just going into the 2000s was kind of scary, and the Iron Giant coming out around that time and just learning and coming into consciousness. The Iron Giant's been there with me the whole time. And him sitting with Hogarth and asking what a soul is. But of course, the scene that will always get me, and just one of the best things ever, is Iron Giant sacrificing himself and remembering Hogarth's line to him, "You are who you choose to be," and he chose to be a hero. It's fabulous. He chose to be Superman. So if I think about it too much, I'll tear up. Mm-hmm. So it's wonderful to have these robots who inspire us to be better humans, and I think that's why we love them. And that's something that I don't think AI will ever actually get to. But these characters, we can pretend. And that's why we love them. So with that, we should probably say from this point on...
This is spoilers from here on out.
This is spoilers. So, if you are leaving us for now, we hope to see you again. Come back when you're ready. So we're not going to say our catchphrase of when we leave, because we know you're going to come back and finish this. Uh-huh. But there's the warning. This is it. We're gonna start. Oh, are you back? All right, you're back. And if you stayed, you just got annoyed for a couple of seconds. But the Wild Robot.
Oh my gosh!
Holy crap! It was so cute. So good.
Thinking about it, I can't bring myself to put her at my number 1 spot. She's probably my number 2, right after Baymax.
Number three. She replaced Baymax. But again, I love. It is hard to rank these characters. It is.
It really is.
But for me, what I told everybody was, I imagine that she is a child in a way of Iron Giant and Wally. If not to be even funnier, she is the child of Wally and Eve. One is a weapon that is sleek and set for a task. The other has heart and wants to learn and build. And so to me, the Wild Robot is like the closest of an offspring to Wally and Eve we'd ever see, which is so funny because it's DreamWorks, directed by the director of Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon. So beautifully done. I want to go read the children's books. They look so cute. And it was just so well done. So again, this is spoilers. We are going to talk about spoilers, so hopefully you all have seen it. And I don't know, Tim, where do we begin? What was some of the highlight? What was the highlight? Why did you love this movie so much?
I think it's, I don't know, it's just hard to pick one reason why it was so good. It was a very cute movie. For all of you parents who are trying, who are struggling with how do I parent, this is a really good movie for you.
Yeah, it felt wonderful. It felt so cute.
For me, as I'm married, my wife and I have talked about kids. We're not having kids yet, but watching that movie and knowing that in the next several years I might end up being a dad, this movie kind of hit some soft spots, giving me hope, knowing that I'm not gonna be adequate, or I'm not gonna be perfect, but I'll be enough.
You're never ready. No. You're never ready to be a kid.
And it never comes with a manual. Parenthood never comes with a manual, and I get that. But this movie, I think, helped me understand that I don't need a manual, I just need to be me.
It was just a good story. It was a simple story. You might have predicted how it was going to end. It might have been cheesy, but it was, and we've seen similar stories to this before, but gosh darn it, it kept the feel of just telling you a story, and you got to relate. The characters each had their own uniqueness. There were times where you just were like, oh, and it was lovely. And
I liked how it wasn't just one story. Like it was three. I felt like it was three different parts. Mm-hmm. You had the first part where Roz is trying to be a mom, trying to raise Bright Bill. That is her prerogative, to raise Bright Bill. Get him to be able to fly and swim and eat, before fall. And I mean, the eating part, yeah. But I feel like there was Fink's bit. I love Pedro Pascal, and
it's so weird because you're like, that is Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
And he's being his unique voice. He's not being his, most of his parts are these tired and I'm exhausted.
Most of it's Mando.
But this, yeah.
If you know Pedro Pascal, odds are it's probably from Mando. Mm-hmm. But there are other movies that he's in, and this is one of them.
This voice, though, was absolutely cheerful and hilarious, and so it gave me, I had like George Clooney with Fantastic Mr. Fox vibes. I just was like, this is awesome. I love him. He's and Todd from Fox and the Hound. I was loving him. Or the dumb Nick Wilde from Zootopia.
Uh-huh.
He fit the Fox character.
He did.
And it just worked. His voice, we had that episode about foxes now. I'm just kidding. There's only those four, and those are the only four I really care about, so it's fine.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing is with his character, with Fink, Fink was lonely. He was doing his foxy thing. And in the end, instead of being the sly fox, he was kind of a hero. Like, he helped Roz rescue all of the animals during that terrible winter storm. He brought the entire island together, and in the end, he had a family. He wasn't alone. He had a family. Even the bear, even Mark Hamill.
That was nuts. I was like, is that him? I'm pretty sure that's him. And I didn't want to assume. I was like, this dude's trying to sound like Mark Hamill, but I'm like, I think that might be. But I'm like, there's no way he's here just for a minor one. But then near the end, where he's like, when he looks at Fink and says, tomorrow I'm going to be chasing you again. I was like, all right, that's Mark Hamill.
I loved Fink's storyline. I thought it was great. Going from being alone, which me personally, I've understood that before. I've moved several times in my life, and every time I've moved to somewhere new, I've been alone for a little bit. But he goes from being alone to having friends and having a family, and that's kind of what happened to me several years ago. I moved. My dad married my stepmom, and it was great. But we moved up here to this area, and I didn't have many people. I had my cousin Tyler. That's it. I only knew Tyler up here, and from that point, from that I was kind of alone. And then I met Tyler's friends, and here we are. Zach, me, Tyler, and Lance are all best friends, and that was our friend group.
Getting ready for a big wedding this weekend.
Getting ready for a big wedding. Congrats, buddy. I feel like it was a very similar kind of thing. I connected really well to Fink because of that, because he was alone. I was alone. And over time, we both had to break out of our comfort zone, break out of our shell, and we ended up making friends. And it's been really good for me, and I think it was really good for Fink.
I absolutely loved the long neck character. The wizened old... He comes out of nowhere.
Bill Nighy.
Yeah, Bill Nighy comes out. Freaking Davy Jones comes out of the woodwork as a goose. As this old wizened... I almost said mallard, but they were not ducks. They were... Yeah,
geese.
They were geese. Mallard is not a male... I don't know.
That's a duck.
That's a duck. Duck. But he was, to me, just so... he was just unbelievably just so kind. Mm-hmm. He just was like, I've been watching you. You've been raising this geese, and I will let you give him a chance. And he's looking at her like, he's not like, you're doing this. You have to do it. You got a week. And he just was so...
He voiced to Roz what every mother needs to hear. You're doing a good job. Side note, to all of you mothers out there.
You're doing a great job.
You're doing an amazing job. If it weren't for you guys, none of us would be here. Again, I'm going to end up crying because I'm just remembering all the times that both of my moms have been there for me. And neither of my moms are perfect, but both are perfect for me and my family.
I will say nothing about my mother because I will cry, but I love you, Mom. And of course, we got to share our love to our dads. Mm-hmm. Your kids turned out okay. Your guys' kids are weird. Me and Tim are pretty weird, but yeah. To my sisters, you know what you did. I'm just kidding. But Bill Nighy's character and how he sacrificed himself when they were trying to exit the human compound, it was so... he was so brief, but yet he was so sincere, and it was
powerful character.
And it wasn't like oh, just put on that cheese, it wasn't cheesy. Mm-mm. I looked at him and I was like, he just wanted to be there, and he believed in him, but yet he did it at a healthy distance. And Roz and Fink, basically hired that falcon to help teach him to fly. They did everything they could. It takes a village to raise a child, and it was so cool, and just loved it. And it was so... I loved the part where Bright Bill is trying to interact with the geese for the first time, and he calls Ra's mom, and Ra's kind of confused. The other geese make fun of him. They spill the beans that Ra's was the cause of his mother's death and the rest of his nest's death, and she basically just took him in. And I don't know, it just hit hard, where he was like, Mom, let's go. And I have one complaint. I talked to you about this, but I'll leave that for the end. But just watching Roz become, like we said with all these other robots, become more human and imprint that onto all the other animals. We all have, she says this when they're all huddled, and she's shutting down because she doesn't have any solar power to her. She looks at all the animals as they all been fighting. She's shutting down, and she goes, I'm trusting you all. You know, go against your programming and learn to cooperate. And it was just wonderful. It was really cool to see, again, these animals and robots. They can never be like us humans. And animals can kind of show the worst part of nature, but yet it was cool to be like, all right, we as humans could learn from this. So it was just, I love moments like that. Love it. Ooh.
Yeah. I also loved Bright Bill's story arc too. Going from being the weird one, like again, us, we're weird.
What are you talking about? Just kidding.
Going from being the weird one that nobody wanted to be around to becoming a leader, you know, embracing who he is, taking his unique set of skills and abilities and becoming better. You know, as I say, as a person, I know he's a goose, but you know, for this in this context, as a character, as a person, he grew. He became better. He overcame his trials. He made his weak things strong.
And he was the Rent. I keep forgetting that. He was. Rent,
he had short wings. He was
wasn't
small.
meant to live.
No, he wasn't meant to. And in the end, he was leading everybody. And I think that's just powerful. All of us, we're all unique. We're all different. Every single one of us. And, you know, we have the ability to rise above our weaknesses. We have the ability to grow. We have the ability to become strong in those areas where we're weak.
We're not robots.
We're not.
We're not animals. We're human. We have the ability to go above our quote-unquote programming.
We have the ability to adapt and overcome.
Improvise, adapt, overcome. Mm-hmm. Bear Grylls. Anyway, sorry. I was just engulfed in this movie. It
was so good.
It was so sweet. I think I've said sweet like 20, but it was sweet like, and it was just a good movie to go and see, and it was wonderful. It was fun. It was just simple, and it wasn't anything too crazy. It was just a well done story. I can't think of anything that it had. It had heart. It had struggles. It had parts where you didn't know who to root with because both characters were kind of at fault. And yeah, I don't know what else to say more. I would give this movie a 10 out of 10.
100%. This is
100%.
This is a movie that when it comes out to Blu-ray, it's going on my shelf.
It's red. I already got a spot reserved. It was very well done.
The tenets of a good movie are they take you through a good story that you can connect with in multiple different ways, and it takes you through all of the emotions, makes you feel alive.
I don't want to feel things, but I did.
And this movie definitely made me feel a lot of different emotions. It made me feel happy, sad, a little bit frustrated, made me feel just overwhelmed with joy, choked up at a few parts. You know, it was just a good movie. It is a very well woven tale.
And it wasn't a big. It didn't end like sad. I honestly thought Roz was going to sacrifice herself. I thought that when she solved the issue in a very calculating way and pulled a Wally near the end, and it was just so cute. I love so for everyone, so hopefully you all have seen it. And we don't have to go too crazy. And I know there's many scenes. There's probably scenes like, what about this scene? What about this scene? And again, we could probably go for this for hours. But we just wanted to give a quick little review of why we enjoyed it and how it was so nice to go to a movie and go, oh. And the marketing was so well done. Unlike Transformers. I want to go punch the Transformers marketing team in the face because that's why that movie's failing. Anyway,
I will say the art style for this movie was gorgeous. It's the same art style as Puss in Boots, you know, the kind of painted, the brush painted look, and it's just gorgeous. And oh my gosh, the landscaping,
the water,
the
all
of it,
the fire.
The artists behind the movie that designed everything.
You deserve a cookie.
More than a cookie.
Oh no, you get 10 cookies each.
You deserve to be paid a lot more than you are being paid.
20 cookies.
There you go.
Okay.
It's a style we don't see very often.
I hope it doesn't get overplayed.
I hope so too. It's just a gorgeous way that maybe.
No, because Pixar's basically been the same for the past. Yeah. I don't know. If this is DreamWorks' new way, then I will trust them. I just hope that we don't get into the Spider-Verse effect and start like what Wish was trying to do. Because but for now, this movie was just a good movie.
Yep.
And there's only one thing I would change. Just one.
What's that, Willem?
The one thing I would change is the very last line. Roz is sitting there in the human, I keep saying compound, I don't know, like settlement, civilization, and she's been taken back so she could be properly repaired. And she says, don't worry, I won't, she told all the animals, I will find a way back and I will not forget you. They tried to take my memories and reset me, but I kept them because they are mine. And at the end of the movie, we see a human look at her, and she goes, hello, and I forget her number sequence.
I am Rosm 7134.
And the human looks at her and walks away while Roz is kind of doing this whole, robotic, like, hello, and I'm here to help you. But then we see Bright Bill sneak his way around a corner, and Roz picks him up, and she says to her, she says to him, but you can call me Roz. I
liked the line because it comes back right to the beginning of the movie, because that's what she says in the movie.
Yes,
I am Rosm 7134, but you can call me Roz. And giving herself a name.
I get it. But Bright Bill and her were having these moments of not telling each other they're sorry and never saying to each other until when they finally meet up again, I love you. And when she saves him when they're falling and she wakes up and says, I love you, you're like, again, not in a romantic, but that matriarchal love.
It's a familial love.
She was his mom. And that's why I was just dying, because I really was expecting her to pick him up and I really would, and I wish she would have said his name, but you, Bright Bill, you can call me Mom. And that would have been that's the only thing I would change. But still works, still great. That's the only little caveat. And you all might be like, boo, Willem, that's lame. But the thing is, he struggled to call her mom so many times. And she always was referred to as his mother by a few of the other animals. And so just that little caveat of like, you are my precious Bright Bill and you can call me Mom, to show that she has completed this growth. She has gone more than just a Rosm. she is a mother. That's my only thing. Whatever. If I get an angry letter from the writer of the movie and the director, so be it. Don't care. They can come to my apartment. We'll have a talk, and I'll probably geek out. Whatever. But that's my
Invite
only.
me.
Fight me. But also
No.
sign this.
Invite me.
Oh, I will. And I have to probably invite my sister too, because she absolutely loves. I can't remember his name, and I'd probably have to do a recording with him doing Stitch. No.
Oh.
The
actor.
The director of this movie, How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch, is the voice of Stitch.
Right.
But yeah, that is the only thing I would change, but I am still I am satisfied with my care.
Again, that's a 10 out of 10. There's not a lot of movies that are a 10 out of 10.
Not this year, at least.
Not this year.
I would give Transformers an 8. I felt we'll talk. If anyone wants to know, you can email me. We'll talk about it. I recommend going to see this both. You have two wonderful movies about robots, teaching us how to be better than what we are. So absolutely wonderful. And I think with that, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for letting us rant about our favorite robots. And until next time, we will see you later, pitches. Bye.
Goodbye.